Oh my God. All the time.
This now, and so item 3.3 is not on the agenda. Are there any additions or corrections to the agenda this week?
Yes, we do have one addendum, and that is under new business. And it is 8.9. Consider acceptance of the resignation. Recommendation is to accept the resignation submitted by TMS Business Speaker Stephen Walker, effective Thursday, October 10th, 2020.
Okay. We now need to approve the agenda with that agenda. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second? Right. All those in favor of approving the agenda as presented this evening, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, we will now move down to number 4, information and proposals. 4.1 is sportsmanship discussion by Board of Trustees. And I will actually turn it over to Morgan.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay. So recently, we've kind of had some discussion in regards to fan activity at a few of our volleyball events. And just talking about crowd behavior, student behavior and those things. And at the present time, typically you don't hear about it as much as an outdoor event, but as we kind of approach those indoor venues for volleyball and especially during basketball, there are some things that we kind of want to make sure and have a discussion as a board and just have some thoughts and opportunities to kind of share some ideas and conversation around it. So the board can have an opportunity to kind of visit and inform the public on what their thoughts are in regards to crowds and behavior. The challenge that we've had is, you know, with three different drastically different schools, and sizes of schools, the different crowds that we see, these different venues, and where administrators are asked to do various requirements of duties at these events. What I've talked about with board members is really setting specific expectations, because sometimes perception falls into, depending upon whether you're talking to one parent or another, the perception of what should be going on at some of our events, and classification too, also have a different feel as you go to these events. So we want to put that on the agenda as an opportunity for board members to kind of share their thoughts and ideas related to sportsmanship. And open up to any board members regarding their thoughts. There was a handout from the Wyoming High School Athletics Association as part of the packet. 307 Wayne.
This was kind of an issue that I wanted the board to discuss as a whole. I feel like you're headed, or the trend is for, let me back. I think we need to set better expectations for our kids, our students, our parents. I realize this is not a popular opinion, and not everybody on the board is going to agree, but I feel as though a student section is a privilege, not a right. And I have concerns about the safety, when things are being yelled at them as individuals that are disparaging and hurtful. And so it just kind of started this conversation about who's it up to do something about it, how do we handle it. We don't want to tamp down school spirit. You know, I personally believe in kids having fun and yelling things and supporting their school, but I have a big problem when it becomes personal attacks and when kids don't feel safe. So that's kind of what started this conversation. And so I asked Mr. Kramer, like, who's it up to and so forth, and I truly personally feel like it's much about one individual. I the AD has gained, that has a lot. I think we need to set the table a little bit better and set the expectations and kind of what we can go in with, what's not. I really truly, as a board, do not want to be stepping in and disciplining parenting of school kids or anything like that. But I believe that as a board, we have a duty to keep all kids safe. And I feel like we are teetering on that right now with some indicators. So that's why I wanted to start the discussion.
So, yeah, that was a conversation that we had conducted with, me and Mark, a little bit about that was actually displayed, at the public conference. And then after that, you know, I kind of looked into some of our policies as well as some of, written policies. And, with, pretty, clear, in a couple of points that they have in their policy that, you know, they have one that says enforcement conduct by coaches, things like your spectators, and also cause the event to school, warned, and or placed on probation for the first offense. The second offense may cause probation and or suspension for 1 year. And I would have to say that this year I have not actually been at any contests, athletic or otherwise. However, in the past, I have actually seen conduct that was very but again, to some, not to the extent that that's here. You know, I also look into our, policies, and in several of our policies, it points out that, for different reasons, as far as, anti-harassment in general. But then in our, disruptive behavior by students in, and activity rules, they describe how, students, conduct themselves, and that's, you know, that's reflective of these forces. I think that for the most part, you know, we have policies in place to make sure that, it's very clear what's expected, not only by students, but by families as well. I think you just need to become familiar with and follow the rules. You know, it doesn't come, it's unfortunate. However, I agree. I think that, we live in a district that we can't pride ourselves on the accomplishment of our kids and of our student life. And we don't want to take away from the accomplishment. I think that that type of behavior, can very easily take away from this. So, I also encourage everyone,
For clarification, the WHA has that policy, but they do not need to.
We have not experienced, or I have not been informed.
They're not being on a school-based level.
I think if it came to a certain level, they would, but I have not seen that in my situation.
So to that point, I would have to say, yes, I mean, you're correct, in that it is in there. And I've been, it has been part of this program. I'm not that to say that we have not seen regions enough to be able to actually have that way to move in. But that's not to say it'll not be, right? Because I will have to say that, again, as this year, some of the behavior just seems to be stepping up. And I'm not, it hasn't been announced that I also.
So my next question is, we already have a policy, the WHA has it. What can be done? Call it out and talking, right, what exactly behaviors you're looking out for in policy? So does this need to be recommended in policy?
That would be a possibility, that would be. I think the challenge becomes, I think there are certain individual comments that we heard about that definitely fall under criteria. Administrators, we're in a close process, things student or any other fellow fan would know, yeah, that's an immediate ejection. I think those would certainly happen. The ones that become a little bit more challenging in perception are the level of introductions into a game. Where does that lack of sportsmanship arise? Does it lack where you've seen regularly, as I have? Does that constitute unsportsmanlike when a good body reads the newspaper, when the other team is being introduced? Is it when they turn their back? Is it to the level of movement? You know, where is that pressure? At what point in time do our administrators need to say absolutely not? Because it's perception, it's based on where you're coming from. It's, you know, being and attending different events outside of our districts. It has a wide range of interpretations all across the state. And so I think if we do have specific expectations, that would be certainly appropriate for activities directors and principals being able to enforce. The problem right now is it's being somewhat left up for interpretation.
But can we collaborate with our ADs and our administrators who are on the front line to come up with policies or expectations that's required to do with the black fire? Is that something we can do?
Absolutely.
And I would have to say, you know, to the point of, you know, there are some comments, some behaviors that I wouldn't agree with. However, in some of what was described, it appeared, pretty blatant that I'm not sure that that was those or that. And I guess, I would go one step further in saying that, we pay officials, which is part of this picture, that they are part of, or recipients of some of that backlash or fall or however the things being managed. But I would actually, propose that if the budget was to allow, that we look at stipends for adults or, maybe other administrators, teachers, to be able to be event staff who could actually float in the student section or attending crowds, to be able to keep some of those behaviors. That it's in the thought brainstorming, but,
So I got three teenagers. Someone said, what kind of bars getting raised. And I do agree with that. But if any parent gets bored and wants to go on their teenager social media and look up what that other student things are doing wrong. On a student level, a kids level, the bars actually get raised for them to. You've got great up on their social media and see that some college thing where a bunch of students. One kid was sitting there with his legs bent up from the sheet, acting like they were having a baby. I mean, so body makes for them too. I think it's hard for us as adults, especially that they focus should be there. We're not kids, try to calm down a little bit. Kids. Oh, that's. There just has to be, I think, from starting at home first. And you want to get out of the game. Two, during the week, through the administration, like at the office. Support. Three, happy. Like, the rules that what's going on, what's not. All three of those lines are not blurred. Big thing is not discussion. Full spirit. And you can do that. Number one, should manage to big thing, part of the game. They've got to talk about posting later or something, some verbal comments. The rest of it. Michael.
Better. Or making the thing up. School board members, administrators, parents. Potentially look at it from that angle. I think it would be more value if we take something to the policy committee versus the other.
You know, kids on these committees.
Sometimes. There have been some where we've had, this would be not.
I mean. Right.
How big do you want the building to be? This is your best.
Well,
Well, you know, so, those indicators, so the SSIS, screener, we'll have the data on that. And those next week, teachers are starting that process now. We did do the MRA for Leader and Me this fall. I went through and I could not get the list of descriptors for each one of those prints off. It is on the website. There are several indicators underneath each one of those things that you guys are asking for there that make up those areas. So 60 to 69 is needs improvement, 70 to 79 is meeting, 80 to 89 is exceeding. So if I look at those indicators there, so if you look at the areas that we need to, we didn't have any in the 80s, we had a lot in the 70s, some in the lower 70s, so I would say we need to work on those as well. Our goal is to improve each one of those areas from year to year. This year, with this being the first year Leader, maybe for the fall, we'll take it again in the spring, but then it will be spring to spring data. So the areas had a couple of 69s and 168, trusted relationships, family engagement, and student-led practices. Some of those areas that we would be concentrating on there. So as we go down through these, that goal, that second to last column is our goal for our school. I guess I should move that for the other one. Sorry. So for this one, course enrollment, it is our goal to have a minimum of 95% of our students demonstrate post-secondary readiness by taking courses that will make this CTE concentrators, or that meet the opportunity level for pathway success for required. We have 21 seniors this year. Currently, all but 4 of them are meeting that goal. And as we look through some things and opportunities that they have, we all but one of those will make it by the end of the year. So we would be thankful if that is the case. As you look at our extracurricular participation, without looking at the numbers, I kind of mentioned to staff that I'd like to see 100% of our kids participating in extracurricular activities. And that doesn't mean just sport. You know, you have FFA, you have music, band, art symposium, all those other kinds of things with WHSA also sponsor. They have a wide variety of sports and activities that they sponsor. So then we said, well, how about 90%? Let's start there. So I went through and we highlighted all the kids today on our current enrollment. We had 130 out of 143 kids that are participating, 6-12, because 6th graders can play sports except for football. And so we based it upon what the kids thought they would participate in. So the projection we're at right now is 91%. So we would bump our goal then up to 95% and try to get some more kids to come out. I think, you know, there are a lot of opportunities, whether it be playing an instrument, participating in district music, just submitting an art piece for the Wyoming State Art Symposium chapter qualifies then under art. So there are a lot of different ways. You don't have to necessarily play sports, but I mean, we offer a variety of activities to the district. We don't have it. One of the, you know, like morning, we go and we play golf, we play tennis, soccer, indoor track, cross country, all sorts of things that we also are able to participate in there. So kids have a wide variety. So then moving on down, career and college pathway completers. For our 9-12 kids, 100% of our students identified as concentrators were tested proficiently on an industry exam. Currently, we are at 25 of 49 of those kids have already tested proficient on an industry exam, whether that be OSHA or something else that has been set through the CTE program. And so they will continue, as our juniors and seniors, they will continue to be tested throughout the year.
Those are kids that are concentrators that, have taken two consecutive, right? 2 consecutive years in an ideal like that. So. Oh, 2 years, don't have to be, I was thinking like this, so. Ames Web data, it is our growth, it is our goal. We have both the school goal, we have a district goal. The district goal is for all classes to meet a 10% growth in reading and math from fall to winter, and then again 10% more from winter to spring. And we want all of our kids to grow in all of our areas on Ames Web. Okay, and I talked with Bree Daniel, as she is, when she was here, she's like, she felt like a good school goal, and she said, that this is what kind of the models we use. She's like, 1 point is growth. Is it great growth? No, but 1 point is growth. So we want all of our kids to grow in all of those areas as measured by, the team. Okay. Same thing there for, Ames Web, math. And then, our goal at Southeast School that 80% of our kids test proficiently or advanced on statewide top test in all categories at all grades. Okay, 3 through 10 test, top. And so you can see this is our cohort data, going all the way back to 2016, 17. The colors mean nothing, it was just so that we could track cohort. So as you see this year, 23, 24, the reading there, had one group as high as 87.5%, 88%, growth is flat. And then you can see how those kids have done over the years there on reading. No, if you click on math, down there at the very bottom, yeah. In math, we had a 90% proficient class this year, which is very good. If you look at those scores across, there was only one that was not above the state or district average. The rest of those were, so.
That was last year's. grade class?
Yeah, so that was 3rd grade in 23, 24, so those are now 4th grade. So, you can kind of see where the kids were at there.
The 90th percentile last year's.
90% of those kids were proficient in everything.
Right.
Yeah.
You're just pointing it out. That happens to be my son's class.
The second highest, I believe, and that was behind a ACT prep school off Cheyenne. So, you remember that? So, yeah, it was second highest.
Voter.
Is that what it is? So, but lots of good sports there. We'll go to science. Not all the levels test in science, 4th, 8th, and 10th. In 2016, 17, 11 did that, but then it was going back to 10, and as you can see there, 58% essentially was our lowest class testing there, and I mean, the highlights there are the ones that are above our 80% proficient or advanced goal. So, quick wipeout data there, and then let me go back to the. So our no, I guess it's all. Okay, so 21 on the ACT, Mrs. Vogel. Which one is that?
At 21 on the ACT is the performance level pathway.
Okay, so that's where we set our goal for our kids to be there. You can see the years, the composite is, we want an average of 21 or above. That goes all the way back to 2012, 13. And so we were just below that this last year at 20.7. Couple of the areas were above that. And so it is our goal for our kids to make that level of that. I mean, that's what we're really shooting for. We have a group of juniors and seniors retaking October 15th, right?
Seniors.
Just seniors, yeah, and to try and better some scores. And now that they can take and bank scores, they can take it multiple times and like, they can keep their best score. They're like where it used to be, you know, kind of reverted to your latest test. So, yeah, so like reading is specific and in math, you could have those scores in 2 different tests. So, which is very good for the kids. 100% of our kids, our next goal is 100% of our kids graduate. Currently, they're all on track to graduate this year. That we will reduce the average number of behavior referrals per student from year to year. As of right now, we are averaging 0.29 of a write-up per kid. We have 240 kids enrolled in K-12, and we have 70-some write-ups so far this year. The majority of those are parts. You know, when I was by myself last year, kids kind of got used to, they were able to get through unnoticed and some of those kinds of things, they don't get through unnoticed. And so the majority of those write-ups this year are parts. Our absences, we want to reduce the average daily absence rate from year to year. As of this morning, we were at 7.277 absences, percent of our population, percent of our population absent. So we would like to see that reduced. Our student council goal is that they will facilitate a minimum of 3 K-12 activities and a minimum of 2 additional 7-12 activities to build school spirit throughout the year. One of the easiest ways to do that is homecoming. We just finished up homecoming. They had a couple of pep rallies, they had bonfire, they had kids signing autographs for the elementary kids. And then we had the 9-12 dance that was very well participated in on Saturday. So what was it? There was about 1 or 2 songs that were the vast majority of the kids were not out and dancing and participating. So we like to hear that. Our next one, we will reduce the number of documented bullying cases from year to year. As of today, we don't have any documented cases of bullying, so that is good. We hope to continue that trend. And then our last one there, we want to have 5 or less incidents of academic dishonesty in each year. And as of this morning, we had no documented cases of academic dishonesty. So even though we're really good at getting away with it, really good with that. So any questions over that?
And change or a trend in the number of the bullies from starting the year. We've been doing that long enough to be able to do this.
I mean, if I can get back to you on that, I can go back and look at the number of cases we had last year, because we started that rollout of the ERME last year. So I can look at the number that we had last year and give you some data on that. Yes. Absolutely.
One of the things, and this is just why I think statewide, the challenge was specifically identifying bullying behavior. There is a definitive legal term and policy term. That doesn't mean that kids aren't being. There are numerous and many times documented situations that we have in our school regularly that our students being mean. But it doesn't rise to the level of meeting that policy. And so when we go over that data, you'll see a lot of times where there is a certain respect and meanness towards other students, but our bullying numbers are not necessarily high. The real question that will be really interesting to see, we will leave it immediate, is there more respectful behavior occurring with students? And can we identify and empathize with the feeling of when you make somebody else feel bad and identifying that, I think that would be more of an indicator. And so when you go back up to those write-ups, that number is probably, I would say, our highest percentage when you look at those numbers, the kids are not treating each other with respect, and more treating them. And that'll be able to see that hopefully that leadership program.
Other questions? Ready? If I can get you any more, data, just let me know. I will update these from time to time. And keep you guys abreast of how it's going. Thank you.
Number 5, board and meeting topics for discussion. Pertinent topic, the board is board members and informal discussion. Really good discussion.
But I spent too much time on my hands, this is what it looks like, but I promise on my face. Just, I feel like some questions have come up, in the community that I'd like to hear from Mr. Kramer and Marcy, who have like hardcore numbers and information, so that the community, the parents, teachers, everybody is getting accurate information. So if we could start first, we just heard Mr. Williams present about tech boards in Southeast. That's fantastic, and I applaud all the staff and people for that. But I would like to address the overall district and how scores are looking. Right now, there's a packet of information from WDE being circulated that frankly doesn't look very good for the district, score-wise. And so I guess I would point this to you, Mr. Kramer, how is our district doing? How are the kids doing? Are they doing okay, score-wise? And what does that really look like? And then if you could share too with us where you're getting that information. Obviously it seems very self-serving, but we're sitting up here saying, yeah, it's great, right? So I would encourage everybody to look at these websites that Mr. Kramer can refer to. Look it up yourself, educate yourself, that you've got the information.
So I'm just gonna start off with where it's like. The Wyoming Department of Education has revamped their website, which is good and bad. There's some things that are really friendly with it, and there's some things that have made it, after we get used to finding things, now they're harder to find. But finding some of this information is very easy if you know where to look. One of the biggest pieces is just going to if you Google Wyoming Department of Education. This is the site here. This is exactly where it opens up to. Right here, transparency. Is where I'm gonna go first. And if you click on transparency, you have the drop down menu here, and you just visit Hub for more. So all of these here actually appear on this Hub. I'm just gonna go down to it. And where I'm gonna go first is the ESSA report card. And that's something you're gonna hear about regularly. And you click on this, and it will take you to two different portions. That was about 20.
Like you need
I'm not bothering.
like,
You want to move on to the topic, so you can hear that?
Thank you. How much? Yeah, blame you for the technology.
I told you, it's only for one.
You want to talk about that? You know.
I would elaborate a little bit based upon, providing spending for people. I think there was a number thrown around, shared of $21,000 for people in spend. And, where I see that coming from is from the skills report right here. This is a WTE report from 22-23. This report is the state, prepares based upon data received from the district. And, ESS is, every student, about 60 that. What they've done is, this report is pulling in all expenditures for the district. And it's misleading for a couple of respects. And then, when I talk about, our spending, typically we're talking about general funds, and that being the operating funds of the district. When we do salary relations, we're working with the general fund, that's the funds that we receive, from the state, from the school foundation program to be used to educate and operate the district. This particular report right here is including all federal monies that are received. And 22-23 was the start of that. So in that $40 million on the very far right side are any dollars that we received for ESSER, for Title I, for 60. The other thing is, you can see an excluded expenditures, that middle dollar amount. That's being added to what the state was tracking as far as ESFA expenditures. The excluded expenditures are things such as any capital projects we had, CapCon, major maintenance, and all food service. That being, you go back to this, in state enterprise operations, that being all of our food service operations. That's being included in here as a calculation to get to the per pupil. Two other things that I think are important to consider when you're looking at this and comparing different districts are reimbursement for transportation and special ed are included. If you look at another district that is not spread out to the demographics of Goshen County School District, you're not going to have the transportation costs that we have. When you think about from LaGrange all the way to Fort Laramie, we're operating a lot of buses to get kids to school and about activity, not thinking about, you know, the days when Torrington would travel to Jackson and play football. That was your activities, which still is reimbursable. And then we have to think about our special ed population, and I don't have the percentage, but we do have in comparison to some other districts, we have a high percentage of students who qualify for special ed services, which that's included in here as well. So I just wanted to share where the figure came from, how it was derived. It is expenditures, but it's including a lot more than just salary and benefits. There's all of our utility expense. 22-23 was the start of our expenditures based upon the egg shop out there and the fire rebuild that we have. So there's a lot of variables.
I'm gonna go back and share my show. Still rate, so. So on that page I had taken you to, which if you go on a transparency with ESSA, it'll take you to this page right here. So the best one for the finances is my state. And you read my state report, and then it'll take you to the finances piece. And this is that page, and then it gives you an opportunity to drop down for every district in the state, and then make them comparable. Now, Mark, you talked about why that's good and bad. It's great to look and analyze individual districts as yourself, but the comparability gets them rather different because each district is very unique in what its needs are. As Mark referenced, special education needs. We do know that special education and educating students with special needs, there is a higher cost. There's a higher cost for a pupil. Also, when you look at a comparability of a district that maybe only has 10 schools, we have 12. We have 12 schools that also have low enrollment. When you look at that, and you look specifically to Goshen County, you'll also notice that the funding piece on district and local, for every building, there's an additional amount associated with that building. So that goes into your per pupil. Question you have to ask is, are there ways for Goshen County to be more efficient? Absolutely. There are many, many, many ways for Goshen County to be more efficient. That includes closing schools. That's not okay for kids. You have to balance that out for what our kids need versus being more efficient. Being more efficient doesn't mean better. Going to Walmart doesn't mean but that's the best way to always buy those things. Small schools have a extra funding formula, so we can actually educate students in a variety of ways. We have to have blessed in Goshen County to have a wide range of enrollments for our schools. Our schools look dramatically different. We have the range of students, 16 students. I also want to make a shout out, because I always love this, Mr. Daly. When we look at Ames Web, and I'll get to that in vision and mission, 100% of our kids were proficient in reading in the Grange Elementary. How awesome is that? That is just really, really cool. And we have 100% of the entire building and those type of things, and that work that those teachers are doing in each one of our other buildings. One size doesn't fit all. You just go to this site and say, Goshen County, and I can bring up any other site and say, well, if I could go down here, I can do this formula per pupil. That's not comparable. Apples and oranges, we talk about that regularly in education. It's not necessarily, what we have to do is analyze as a board what is best for our kids. And I don't think closing schools to be more in the name of efficiency is the best way to go around business. Even though that is one of the efficiencies. So those are things in regards to our pre-control expenditures that are really important to educate yourself and ask questions. Questions are good. Making assumptions based on that data, that's when we have challenges to make up, especially too, when we go back to that site. If you go in here, you can select it and it'll drop down and it'll give you then this Goshen County. I'm going to go to the district code. And this is what you see in the district code. This gives you a snapshot. Our enrollments, proficiency in English language arts, proficiency in math. Again, this is a snapshot. There is some good data to ask questions about and look at, is that where we want our English language proficiency? Is that where we want math? Also, one of the really important things that we talked about is students receiving halfway scholarship. If you go look and compare us to other districts, and take that number of enrollments and look at that number. I did play around with this, and there's some districts that have been thrown around as comparable to us that I don't feel are necessarily good in comparison. We have percentage-wise significantly more students qualifying for halfway scholarship. When Mr. Williams talked about this sheet here, you'll notice one of those lines is Wyckoff. One of those lines is Ames Web. But there's also a lot of other lines that talk about the importance of how our kids are in relation to interpersonal development, trust development. This board has been very proactive in looking at things outside of just Wyckoff. If the board wanted to say Wyckoff is the only thing that matters, they could do that in the vision and mission. They chose to do this process over the last year to say, that's one tool in our toolbox to analyze where we're at in the school. That is not the one and only tool. There are multiple ways and facets to analyze how we do the tool. The other aspect too, as we look at average ACT score, are there things that we want to improve? Absolutely. As Mr. Williams pointed out, we have one of our classrooms that's scored the second highest in the state in regards to their mathematics ability. Is that good? No, actually, look at theirs. They're not saying that this is where we want to be. We want to strive for more. And yes, those numbers certainly indicate we want to have areas of improvement. And that's where that vision and mission, the work that the board has done over the last year, are really powerful tools, because it talks about when we're reporting on that information, what the information is, and each building also has a goal outline. So this is very, very good stuff to take a look at. And you can come across here and look at specific enrollment data. One of the pieces that I think are really important when you look, and we know as educators, low income and non-low income students, there is a different education piece to that. When you do comparability on standardized assessments, you'll notice that there's a stark contrast for buildings that have a low socioeconomic status and their ability to have standardized assessments high proficiency. Does that mean that it's set? Absolutely not. Are there schools with 90% students who qualify for free and reduced lunch and 90% proficiency? Absolutely. There are those things, but they're not as wide-ranging as students that have a low percentage of high-income students. We just know our standardized assessments, they are slanted to different socioeconomic status. And that's important, take a look at that. Where do we rank in comparison to other districts there? Teachers. How do we compare there? When you look at some other districts that have been mentioned, their number in low-income schools is 0. Ours is 3. Mid-low-income schools, there's other districts that have maybe 2, we have 5. 8 out of our 12 are in that bottom 2 tiers. That doesn't mean that we shouldn't have extremely high expectations for our kids and all kids, but that does mean it looks a little different. It just looks a little different in where we need to go, and how we get there. That doesn't mean we can't achieve there. It shouldn't set them up extremely high. But that just looks a little bit red. And also you can see when it breaks down too, this also breaks down the cost per student. And here's where it's a little bit dramatically different. Because you have schools, the smaller the school, individual school, the higher the cost per pupil. Because there is a certain operating percentage that has to go to operating schools. So if you have a lower end number of students, of course, that cost per pupil is high. So you can go to every district, every building, and this is some powerful tools to ask questions, but not necessarily always a perfect tool to make comparisons.
Yeah, thank you. No, that was fantastic.
Yeah, in regards to the possible student, Mercy has to clarify that is based on a state funding model, not something the district has any control for, correct?
I'm gonna let Marcy answer that specific.
And Sarah, I'm really glad that you mentioned that. I wanted to bring that up. We received a dollar amount from the state based upon our population as well as several different other variables that all schools in the state, all districts in the state are to be put on an equal playing field. What they do is they pull out the what they call it local resources, that being a lot of mineral activity, the property taxes that one county may earn over what county like ours doesn't earn, and that's the way they equalize it. So it is a funding model. It is not a spending model, meaning that they provide this money to us. It's for this board's oversight into how that is spent, but we do have to spend it. If we don't spend it and we have a carryover cash balance greater than what the state says we can have, that's when it goes back to the state. So it is very important that we realize that we are receiving this money from the state, and we're receiving it for the education of the students and the operation of our building. So thank you.
We have a discussion with that. Okay, we'll move back down to the public comment section of our meeting. Keep in mind there's 5 minute time limit. And we will start with Karen Weber.
First of all, thank you all for
My name is Karen Weber, and thank you very much for listening tonight. I have a few things to talk about, specifically improving student performance. I didn't come here because of a problem. Never go to the meeting to put it in a problem. I always want to bring solutions, so I'm a solution. But trying to true solution, I have many years of experience in improvement. It is in the healthcare realm. However, there's a lot of similarities with building human beings, people's lives, the whole future is at stake. I was excited tonight to see that our schools have become a living district. I know we do. I'm hearing words like raising the bar, also talking about holding others accountable. Very, very good. The secret to being able to achieve your goal, which I was excited tonight. And I have talked to Mr. Williams, who provided all this data and information. That's exactly what you need. Every month, you need that. In healthcare, we have a thing called the scorecard. And we have various data points under 30 topics. Every month, it's not soon actually, many top performing hospitals across the United States, they're looked at weekly, actually daily in some years, but weekly in meetings. That's how you get better. You raise the bar by being able to focus. There's a saying, it goes like this. And think about this, please. If everything is important, nothing is important. Do you ever feel like that? Like, so there's so much. I know, you're smiling. I know exactly where you live. I mean, not where you live. It's so take off the plate. Some of the most horribly fallen apart hospitals I've ever gone into to do an improvement on. They've lost the ability to focus on what's important. What's important here is student performance and a number of things. But to make that action, to actually be able to narrow down your focus, you need to take a look at having a planned outcome. Now, in Southeast, you're doing great, and you've got some planned outcomes. And it's really clear to everybody. And that's what you look at month to month to month, right? And for you, it's certain things. And so you're focused on that. So then you're talking about it. It's in your mind, top of mind awareness. You're chatting about it at the water cooler, at the lunch. That's the planned focus that is necessary to raise the bar. So the ACT scores, and by the way, if you don't mind, I went ahead and went to the Wyoming Department of Education, and I went in and turned off the 2022-23 full performance report for all of our high schools. And I'm concerned about the high schools, the kids that are 11th grade and taking the ACT classes. Where are they going to go? What are they going to do? Are they going to have the same opportunities as other people that just happen to have a lot of money? These kids need scholarships. They need to do well. And so I actually have the data. Since you asked for it, it's all here. This is exactly what the Department of Education does. I kept in mind that the ESSD is a federal program. They do not include science in their data collection. However, Wyoming does. And so I would really strongly suggest and recommend that you look at the Wyoming. What's the mnemonics on that again? WEA. It's an act, something. But it also WEA. Okay, it is a higher standard. It's a good one because it includes science, extremely important for kids to be successful in the future. So, if you look at 22-23, our composite score for the district ACT score is 17.8. Now, the Princeton Review offers that the average score is 21. And granted, we've heard that you have to be 21 to get a scholarship. So for these kids that don't have a lot of financial resources, it's their way. It's sports or it's academics. This is important to them to be able to achieve this. And so I believe that we can do better. And I don't think we should take any excuses. I think when you are a relentless pursuit of perfection and excellence, you need to say we're going there. But you need to focus on the important things. Let go of the things that do not bring you value in terms of your mission, your vision, your core standards. My number one recommendation, well, I have many, but one of the things I think is important to get started with is that every single time that you meet, you should have a push report that tells you monthly exactly what you're doing, where you're at on certain data points related to student performance, and then have discussions about that. I guarantee you, in 6 months, you will see some improvements. In a year, you'll be saying, wow, this actually happened. And so that is my offering, my suggestion to you, and I guess my time is up. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Ms. Glover, may I keep these?
Yep, that's one.
Thank you.
It's actually very easy to find. Just go on there and you just put in performance. I. You know, they don't need to.
Young team.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I'm Michelle Peter, and I've been a cook here at Southeast Schools for the past 28 years. I've been a resident of Goshen County my whole life and graduated from there. I have seen several generations of kids that have come through that lunch line in my years as a cook at Southeast. The lunch program has had many changes throughout my years, but the one thing that I have never seen happen before is the locally grown Goshen County foods donated for our lunch program. I would like to take this opportunity to thank these individuals for their donation of their locally grown foods. Mr. Davis and family, the anonymous donor, Bar X Ranch, Mr. Kyle Hilton and family. And I'd also like to take this to say thank you to Paramount Meat, Mr. Matt Sussick, for providing me. Holly Progress, who is the legal programming and myself, came in on a Friday and taught herself how to use the hamburger patty maker that was donated to my school district. It was quite overwhelming that morning to see a 500 pound mountain of ground beef that needed to be made into hamburger patties. We spent the next 6 hours turning that 500 pounds of ground beef into 1,746 hamburger patties, so they would be ready in time for the Wyoming Farm School. I co-experienced this for Wyoming Farm School Day. Students and staff were able to enjoy for the first time ever delicious hamburgers that were made from your local grown beef. This was very exciting and a big deal for all of us. Because of your beef donations, the entire district will be able to continue to enjoy locally grown beef in our lunch program throughout the school year. Once again, thank you so much for your tremendous generosity and support. It is greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Oh, thank you all for keeping that. Thank you. Thank you for food service because it was a big lift for them across the district, so talk specifically about what they need to do. And the burgers were excellent. And even I was out at Lingle getting with students there, but we even had a business manager washing dishes. We're going to our food service direction. Our food service program here, getting that started. Trustee Southwood's group, with getting that off the ground. Thank you very much. Thank you, Michelle, for doing that.
They were that's all the contact if they are interested in making donations.
Right, for a moment, really, food service direction would be the point of contact. Or anything, yes, we thoroughly enjoyed what was occurring, but we also want to keep it going. Because it's not just even though we celebrated on October 2nd, it's not happen.
So I have a couple of things on that. So we were going to manufacture all the patties for the district so that wouldn't happen. The week before we were supposed to do that, the voter went out on the big patty mix. And so I ordered it, but I called them up and I said, hey, this is not going to work. You guys absolutely. So I want to commend you guys because I'll be honest, my staff hates making patties. That's one of their least favorite things. They may have broken the machine up there. And then the other thing is honestly, I'm already having people approach me about more donations and stuff like that. So I think that this program has a really bright future in Goshen County. I would love to see if you can doing it
classified to review.
In your number, law, either of those anywhere you want, and just reference that you have the issue. We'll give it a go.
That's all I have for public comment this evening. So we will move down to the thing agenda. Are there any items on the consent agenda that the board members? Okay. With that, I need a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented to you. Is there a second? Any discussion? All those in favor of approving the consent agenda as presented to you, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Abstentions? Better new business. Consider approval of designating the regular November board meeting for session with the superintendent minor. The recommendation is to discuss and approve designating the regular November board meeting for the annual discussion of the superintendent's contract starting this year with all of you. Do I have one? Any discussion? So actually, the discussion on this item started. Actually, it probably started my first year on the board. The issue, I think how it has been in the past, the superintendent's contract, always came up for review in the bid. The issue is, when you have an election, you have a new board, it's extremely hard for them to, one, evaluate the superintendent, and two, make an educated decision on this one. And so that was the impetus behind it in the past, and we had discussions about it, I say, every year that I have to it. It makes it, from a time standpoint, it makes more sense for the listening board to evaluate the.
I would say that when I first came on the board, we did it, literally the first thing I had to see was an evaluation for the superintendent. Obviously, I do use the framework, but I know how to was the superintendent, and I didn't feel like it was very easy to evaluate them. I was very uncomfortable with it. And that's why I'm so in favor of this. We are going to have potentially 6 new people on this board, brand new, who it's number one of belonging to even become a member of this board. There's so much coming out, there's so much information, but then to be asked to evaluate the leader of the district and then to discuss the contract is a lot. I also think that it is our duty as this board. I feel like we owe it to the staff and the teachers and the administrators to have that continuity, because we are going to have potentially 6 brand new programs. That's a lot of change in a very short period of time. And I feel like we're best approaches for the existing board who has been working with the framework and you know, how consuming as a superintendent to what have you. This process. So that's why
I think it's important to note too that this is not directly because of the stuff they mentioned, but every on the, if this is what I'm talking about, for members of this now, because if you get on the board and immediately, then it's important for, because it's our district, to have a board who's able to there for every student, take that.
All those in favor of approving designating the regular November board meeting for discussion of the superintendent contract, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstention? Item carried. 8.2, consider approval of revised Goshen County School District number 1 district vision and mission statement. The recommendation is to approve the revised vision for the district vision. Do I have a motion? They're saying. Any discussion?
Right. I don't need to spend hours and hours on it. I think that that is, I feel like it's sort of like what we're working for. If it's not wrong. Is there, can we able it to continue to work on it? I realize the goal was for the new board to have this to work from, but for you, it's not.
So one thing to think about, and that's a good one. The board piece of this is for better on this. The second thing, language related around. The of that, I'm gonna slow down. So my second comment, underneath the goal, there's specific themes that are really focused for religion. Outside of that, that's not necessarily a word piece, but it's important that people be able to report and talk with their staff. But those also aren't necessarily part of that mission vision or values. Those are the measurements that we need to use. So you'll notice that we've incorporated every area that we have around what Mr. Williams talked about. For Mr. Williams, it's 1, 2, almost maybe a third of that per page. This is really what his mission is about, and that's all the main. So when you look at it as that component, I don't think it's, yes, when we put it all together, it is a big monster of life. But for individual administrators, individual teachers, these are the things that we need to focus and a part of, here's what we're working on. And so I think you're absolutely right, that it sounds like a lot, and it's probably more on my formatting that Maureen has offered to adjust when we get to the final input of all the information. But I think really for the board, it's what it is. And that's what needs to be part of the conversation. But I appreciate you, it's not your question that, because it is, it's gonna be something, why is it 40 pages, but that is hard.
It's not going to be complicated, correct? We can imagine it.
Absolutely, and pieces of it, as Mr. Williams referenced, pieces of his are going to be adjusted based on print data, it's going to be adjusted based on winter data, because that's where we're reporting. It has to be a living, breathing document. Now, there's things that are going to be set, and you'll notice up on that right-hand corner, indicated columns 2024, review of possible restructure, summer of 2029, with adoption in 2030. But for a vision, mission, and core values, that one page, yeah, those things we should really read by the details of the goals and specifics of the measure. We can talk about it, because sometimes there's changes within what we're doing that doesn't necessarily align, because there's pieces of the SDL training that we provide in this that we might find great that information.
All those in favor of approving revised Goshen County School District number 1 district vision and mission statements, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any abstentions? Item carried. 8.3, consider approval of building lease for Eastern Wyoming College. The recommendation is to approve the lease of Eastern Wyoming College for the lease of the old Common College building to house the Flat River School from August 7th, 2024 to May 31st, 2025, and the total amount of $22,000. Do I have a motion? I will move it. Is there a second? Any discussion?
I'll just bring up, so if you remember, for those of you who have been there and visited that building, there's a large wall divider, they divided the main room into two. So what they've done is open that other side and now have, the labs and everything on the other side also, in addition to additional meeting rooms. It just makes the space more usable. It's a program that is growing, and one that I think it's a marvel of information, but I'm really excited to report the next meeting, the marvel of information regarding all of our students to go the first thing that is coming up in November. It's very successful program. We really want to utilize the
Any others?
I also want to say, each one of the calls that is tasked for our department, not only in this program, but we appreciate what they do for us. Many of course, not going to do the
All those in favor of approving a building lease with Eastern Wyoming College in the total amount of $22,000, please signify by saying aye. All those opposed? Any abstentions? 8.4, consider approval of proposed policy revision. The recommendation is to approve the proposed revisions to district policy 51.1, parent reimbursement for out-of-district travel and or transport to service providers as presented on first reading. Do I have a motion? Is there a second? Any discussion? All those in favor of approving, policy revision to district policy 51.20.1, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, all those opposed? Any abstentions? Item carries. 8.5, consider approval of proposed policy revision. The recommendation is to approve the proposed revisions to district policy 5174, differences in balanced education, and new exhibit form as presented on first reading. Do I have a motion? Is there a second? Any discussion?
I have them. I'm like Mr. Derby. So on the policy, it states that it will, that we're going to limit kids that fall under academic aptitude, creative thinking, leadership, visual literacy, visual literary, performing arts. But then it says that they will be, it'll be judged based on the sensory and reading.
current policy is basically an environment demographic based on performance. I think what we're proposing, so now a little bit more, is like, we look at the numbers, like they started looking at those numbers, but we didn't even there. I think we found based on the current policy, we would in the neighborhood that they're 11 to 12% is identified, but the policy, the national average is somewhere like 6.5%. So I guess I would argue that the current policy is good at identifying high academic achievement, not necessarily. There's still some boundaries in there where there can be referrals and other things like you mentioned. But I think we're trying to also eliminate some of the real area there. As far as like what's one here is describing another other execution that can have tasks like we can talk about that slightly more as far as what that would have been to.
Yeah, so the aim of starting out with the reading, is our first year, in the second history, then that actually is the year before things like the kindergarten for second, third, the kindergarten for the next level. Okay, it really goes towards the creativity, the different options that it's supposed to have. That would be our second catch. I work with a lot of different institutions on how they are doing their testing, and that they said that they used to do our current policy. It does a star rating and committee and things like that. And they said that the functions of the limitations have really the least edge without having to subject it and the time consuming process of everything else. So that in that will catch that. But the creative piece that you're talking about, that comes in with the actual film that we're going to show that will be very project based for those that. There is also the referral form, so if a parent, teacher, the student themselves, or someone else, feels like that they're not reading the age of the digit, but there is something out there, please do go straight to the impact reading for that. And so I see what you're saying, but if we feel like we didn't catch them in reading that, then we can do straight to the impact. Wow, absolutely.
Any others?
Yeah, I just want to mention, first of all, I want to ask about the board for, work this program, and was encouraged that, hopefully that this program can, I would be fortunate to be able to actually get back on, please, in a meeting, regarding my grandson. And, the feedback that I received, is that he was very professional and we're very lucky to have you, very good. I really believe, that this program is extremely important for our advanced learners. And I, just hope to say, or I want to say, that I hope that we can continue to be relevant in this program and continue to serve, to on that. So thank you.
I appreciate that.
Yes. All those in favor of approving the proposed revisions to district policy 6174, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstentions? Item carries. 8.6, consider approval of purchase of $5,000 for the district, purchase of district custodial supplies. The recommendation is to approve the purchase of cleaning and disinfecting materials from Bluff Sanitary Supplies, PHS, $200.08. TMS, $4,638.23. And legal Fort Leonard, the amount of $4,141.14 for a total purchase of $8,979.45 funded to the general fund custodial. Do I have a motion? Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor of approving the purchase of cleaning and disinfecting materials from Love Sanitary Supplies in the total amount of $8,979.45, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstentions? Item carried. 8.7, consider approval of purchase exceeding $5,000 for the purchase of construction tools. The recommendation is to approve the purchase of concrete and drywall trade tools for the Lincoln Fort Leonard High School construction programs from Amazon in a total amount of $11,452.41. This is funded through the purchasing fund. Do I have a motion? Is there a second?
Again,
You can check.
I have to ask his own question. Why are we pursuing these tools? Like, why are we purchasing them locally or? Are they cheaper on Amazon? Is that why, or?
I can ask like you. Mr. Gilchrist, email there.
I'm sure it takes some time and I'm not putting into this one, but some of those, trade companies have items available on Amazon in 10 times or less. And some of the trade, companies don't take the portion. So I'm about that. I can't speak directly with this one, but I know some of the, especially people working in that, that Amazon is the best for our.
Don't get me wrong, I'm not anti-Amazon. But if we could be ordering these locally, that would be my preference, but I'm assuming that was pretty challenging.
I can't say for sure. I might be able to say 100%. I also don't have a problem with table. So next month, That's certainly was option two. That would be.
I don't put that anything on it, to be honest, but we can move forward and see
Let's
what
be
better
question.
action.
Absolutely.
Any other? All those in favor of approving the purchase of concrete drywall systems for the Fort Laramie High School construction program in the amount of $11,400.41 for the by guy. All those opposed? Any abstention? Item carries. 8.8, consider approval of contracting for professional development. The recommendation is to approve contracting with Crafting Photography LLC for 5 days of PLC professional development for the district middle school and math teachers and non-coach coaches during the 24-25 school year in the total amount of $12,000. This is funded through Title II of the School Improvement Fund. Do I have a motion? Is there a second? Any discussion? All those in favor of approving contracting with Crafton Consulting LLC for 5 days of PLC professional development in the total amount of $12,000, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Any abstention? Item carried. 8.9, consider acceptance of future resignation. The recommendation is to accept the resignation submitted by CMS English teacher Tessa Walker, effective Thursday, October 10, 2024. Do I have a motion? I move. Is there a second? Second. Any discussion? All those in favor of accepting the resignation submitted by CMS English teacher Tessa Walker, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All right. All those opposed? Any abstentions? Item carried. Number 9, this is the other board topics for discussion. So anything else that the board members wish to discuss?
I just had a quick question under number 6 on that. 2.2.
This whole is brand new and we're working through it. There's been you know getting to appreciate this stuff.
Oh, so 6.1 is the guide.
Yeah. Yeah. We switched from letters to numbers, which is really throwing me off. I know. Put them in wrong.
This is part of our board docs program that's updated with things. And it takes some refinement and things to bring them what can really change. How many trainings have you sat in?
But it does get into the policy page,
Right.
once we get that out, right? All work. I like it so far. If we get the board packet on Thursday, I mean, that was great.
Yeah, in the case you don't have your password, please don't hesitate to talk with Mike as you're back there. That will make it a lot easier for you to access your information in board packet. So if you happen to have forgotten that, which happens, I've been there many times, please don't hesitate to talk with Mike, and that way you can right away on Thursday. And even to the point of where Lorraine had mentioned, there is the possibility of being able to make addendum and amendments to the agenda and giving notification of that, and so those will already be inputted into that final document. There's a lot of things that will really make it easier for board members and communication. So thank you.
Any other comments? Okay. Number 10, future meetings. The next regular school board meeting will be hosted by Lincoln Elementary School on Tuesday, November 12th at 7 p.m. with a meet and greet and school tour at 6:30 p.m. And two, the WSBA annual conference will be held at the Castle Grand Villa from November 20th to the 22nd. The delegate assembly is on Wednesday at 1:30. Registration is now open. Absolutely.
Sarah, I don't know if you want to say maybe a couple of words. We will invite all the new board members to this, and so out of the number of candidates we have, if there's an interest after the post-election, but we'll invite all those who are running because it's not really possible to foretell who might be part of the board and things. Sarah, I don't know if you want to speak to how valuable it was for you, even as a veteran board member in regards to the new that you experienced in the last week of that.
And they did a new board member orientation, which is fantastic. They went over a lot of things that you don't really know. Because the board, it's like drinking out of a fire hose. There's just so much information, and they kind of give you a guideline on how to start getting into that. And it's really good. It's good for networking. You get to meet with all of the different districts around the state. We're going through a lot of similar problems that we are. So we don't have to reinvent the field, right? Like sometimes we go kind of isolated in what we're doing, but other people are doing what they do. So the networking is fantastic. If you can make time out of time and going, it is very, well, they talk a lot about what's going on with our legislature, some things that are very for the district. Legal issues are a big topic that is covered. They break it down into I would recommend those, but.
WSBA winter board workshops for new board members and new board affairs will be provided virtually in December 2024 and January 2025. And with that, I will continue with payment.
I'll take care of the one item that I have added to that, but I will share one data again in regards to where we're at. Once the November meeting hits, and we have more accurate and detailed information, that you have all of those changes, and it's not a dual month of August, September. And so you'll notice that we are slightly down in the number of buildings there. And green indicating an increase of where we were at, yellow indicating decline, a slight decline, and then red indicating more. As you can see, in elementary, with we are starting to creep up in that number, but also remember that includes our TK, which are students who are going in early things. So this is around small kindergarten class this year, or just a couple of years ago, we had a good time. We have slight declines, increase at the junior high, the classes moving up. Again, you have the EMF decline, balance. But you can see going to 1596, the total district-wide, approximately where we were at one sheet. Other than that, I did not have any additional information. This is our last homecoming weeks for all three high schools. And everything is I appreciate it. And I'll see the building and a bit my the elementary teachers who just partake in and the parade and pep rallies and also very appreciative and focus on high school. They're also brought into the enjoyment of homecoming.
I want to say thanks to Sally and all the staff for allowing us to do this. I know there's a lot of probably extra work for some people,